Everybody's time, so I'm going to get started. I'm Denise Yamaguchi. I'm the Executive Director of the Hawaii Agricultural Foundation, and I want to welcome you to the Prince Waikiki for the 30th episode of Eat, Think, Drink. That's amazing. Tonight we're going to be talking about building the future ag workforce. Tonight we had 193 registered attendees, and for me that was a wow, because I started at the Hawaii Agricultural Foundation 15 years ago, and nobody wanted to talk about ag education or ag careers, so this is a wow moment for me, so thank you very much for being interested in helping our kids choose careers in ag. Is that Dean? I thought that Dean was giving me a shout out, but he's on the phone. So a quick reminder, so he gets off the phone. Tonight's program is being recorded and will be available on our website. Please silence your phones and refrain from talking during the presentations. As we move into tonight's discussion, please note that the bar is going to be closed and will reopen right after the discussion. I'd like to acknowledge now our presenting sponsor from Central Pacific Bank and invite Bob Yee, Group Senior Vice President and Division Manager, to say a few words.
Aloha and good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Yee, Senior Vice President and Division Manager of Branch Banking at Central Pacific Bank. On behalf of all of us at CPB, it is truly an honor to be here tonight and to serve as the presenting sponsor to Eat, Think, Drink. Tonight's theme couldn't be more important. As Hawaii's farming population grows older and workforce shortages happen, the question we face is not just how we grow food, but how we grow a new generation of farmers, educators, and innovators. The future of agriculture is, in every sense, the future of Hawaii. A thriving agricultural workforce means more than local food on our tables. It means greater food security, economic resilience, and stronger communities. We know the challenges, the need for those with more hands in the fields, more interest among young people, and more opportunities for learning that connections with the classroom to our farms. But we also know the opportunities, a chance to inspire the next generation to connect technology and tradition and to rebuild the food system that is sustainable, resilient, and uniquely suited for the islands we call home. At Central Pacific Bank, we are committed to supporting industries that define Hawaii's future, and agriculture is definitely one of them. We are proud to stand alongside educators, policymakers, farmers, and community advocates like all of you here tonight. Together, we can cultivate pathways for young people to see agriculture not just as a tradition, but as a career of purpose, possibilities, and pride. Mahalo to Denise and to the organizers of Eat, Think, Drink for bringing us together to tackle the issues head on. And mahalo to all of you for the work you do every day to nourish Hawaii and strengthen our communities. Let's keep planting the seeds in the ground and in the minds of future generations so we can grow the workforce that Hawaii needs. Mahalo.
Yeah, I'm going to thank our supporting sponsors. I want to recognize Alexander Baldwin, Armstrong Produce, Fresh Point, Hawaii, Bayer U.S. Crop Science, Hawaii Longline Association, Island Palm Communities, Sentinel, Matson, Prince Waikiki Hotel, the State of Hawaii, the Ulupona Initiative, United Airlines, and United Fishing Agency. We're now going to begin the FFA opening ceremony. Please join me in welcoming to the stage our FFA State President, Nicholas Nishimura.
The banquet hall will come to order. We are now holding Hawaii Agricultural Foundation's Eat, Think, Drink number 30, entitled Building the Future, of the ag workforce. Madam Vice President, are all officers at their stations?
I shall call the roll of officers, determine if they're at their stations, and report back to you, Mr. President. The Sentinel.
Station at the door.
Your duties there.
Through this door pass many friends of the FFA. It is my duty to see that the door is open to our friends at all times and that they are welcome. I care for the meeting room and paraphernalia. I strive to keep the meeting room comfortable and assist the President in maintaining order.
The Reporter.
The reporter is stationed by the flag.
Why by the flag?
As the flag covers the United States of America, so I strive to inform the people that every man, woman, and child may know that the FFA is a national organization that reaches from the state of Alaska to the Virgin Islands and from the state of Maine to Hawaii.
The Treasurer.
Stationed at the emblem of Washington.
Your duties there.
I keep a record of receipts and disbursements just as Washington kept his farm accounts, carefully and accurately. I encourage thrift among members and strive to build our financial standings through savings and investments. George Washington was better able to serve his country because he was financially independent.
The Secretary.
Stationed by the ear of corn.
Your duties there.
I keep an accurate record of all meetings and correspond with other secretaries wherever corn is grown and FFA members meet.
The Advisor.
Here by the owl.
Why by the owl?
The owl is a time-honored emblem of knowledge and wisdom. Being older than the rest of you, I'm asked to advise you from time to time as the need arises. I hope that my advice will always be based on true knowledge and ripened with wisdom. Madam Vice President, why do you keep a plow at your station?
The plow is a symbol of labor and tillage to the soil. Without labor, neither knowledge can accomplish much. My duties require me to assist at all times in directing the work of our organization. I preside over meetings under the absence of our president, whose place is beneath the rising sun.
And why is the president so stationed?
The rising sun is a new token of agriculture. If we'll follow the leadership of our president, we shall be led out of the darkness of selfishness and into the glorious sunlight of brotherhood and cooperation. Mr. President, all officers are at their stations.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, everybody. My name is Nicholas Nishimura, but you can call me Nick, and I am proud to say that I am Hawaii FFA's state president. On my left, we have Dalen Calistro, our state vice president, a current freshman at CTAR. We have Lakeisha Kitog. She is a sophomore at Waipahu High School and serving as our state secretary. On her left, we have Landon Ni'i from Kalani High School, serving as our state's treasurer. On his left, we have Ennis Juleton from Waipahu High School, serving as our state reporter. On her left, we have Katone Springer at Waipahu High School, serving as our state sentinel. And last, but definitely not least, sorry, I would like to call Denise Yamaguchi back to the stage to introduce our final guest.
Let's give Nick and the FFA officers a big round of applause. So we started Eat, Think, Drink in 2016 to spark meaningful conversations about food and agriculture issues facing our community because there are so many misperceptions about agriculture and our local food systems. Tonight is about conversation and learning, and we encourage you to engage with our speakers and with each other throughout the evening. I'm especially excited about tonight's program because Hawaii Agricultural Foundation has been tackling this issue of who will feed us tomorrow for more than 15 years. As our farmers age and the workforce gap widens, the challenge isn't whether we can grow enough food, it's whether we're growing enough farmers. Tonight's keynote speaker brings deep national perspective on this issue. Scott Stump, CEO of the National FFA, leads an organization that engages millions of students across the country in agricultural education and leadership. He'll share insights on how many students participate in FFA, the percentage who pursues ag-related careers, and what's working nationally to strengthen our ag workforce pipeline. These lessons matter for Hawaii. As we look at our own classrooms, programs, and workforce efforts, Scott's perspective will help us see where we are, where the gaps remain, and what it will take to build a resilient food future. Please welcome Scott Stump, President of FFA.
It is absolutely a pleasure and an honor to be with you. And Denise, thank you for that introduction. Scott Stump, CEO of National FFA, and I've started my career nearly 40 years ago as an agriculture science instructor in north central Indiana, which I must say is a bit different than the mountains, the plains, and the waterfront of Hawaii. And as I look in that space, we still find the same problem. As Denise outlined, looking to that next generation is a problem that we also are concerned about and trying to solve for, not just here, but across the nation. And in fact, I've had the opportunity to see a bit of the world and spent 7 years going to Japan with our national officers. So we have 6 students who, like the state officers serve here, serve all of the nation. And I can say that I've been to Hawaii 6 times before this, but only for about 18 hours each time. I know. We did fly in at 6 o'clock in the morning from Osaka, would land, get a couple of vans, take them up, go to Walmart, get flip-flops and towels, and then make our way to Pearl Harbor, go to Hananama Bay, put them in the water for a little bit, get the sand on them, and then with Mike Barros' help, we would find a school to throw them in the locker room showers, then take them to the North Shore, Waimea Bay, and the Hawaii FFA Association would usually put on a wonderful barbecue. And well, let's just see. Anybody in here, have you been to a barbecue that had parrotfish? Anybody? Why, see the nodding heads? That doesn't happen in Indiana. I'm just saying, we don't get parrotfish on our barbecue grills. It's brisket, it is pork, anyway, but it was a wonderful treasure. But I'd say from that my chance to get to know agriculture teachers like Mr. Wong and David Friedis, who's here today, and the rest of the crew, I just want to have all of the ag teachers that are daily working to build that next generation of leaders. If you would please stand, those that past and current ag teachers that are working daily to build that next generation. And I will say, as a part of that, thank you for your tremendous work. But in that time of coming and visiting the island nearly 25 years ago, I was on the North Shore when you could see sugarcane still growing. We would drive through the center of Oahu and see pineapples and fruits and vegetables absolutely across all of the arid space. And when I think about now, the time of going up through and visiting the programs and making the same trek, a lot of that industry has changed and is gone. What I would say today, and kind of the core to this theme of my message, is that as we look, we're in a new day in agriculture for Hawaii. And with that day comes new problems to solve for. And I'm so pleased, Denise, that you and the Hawaii Agricultural Foundation recognize this and are actively working in this space. And so tonight, what I want to do is, in the next few minutes, really provide just some insights of what's going on across the nation, some things that we've learned and we think would be exciting for to expand and grow potentially here, and hopefully some thoughts to get you thinking about how collectively all of us can step into this space together to solve this big problem. So, as we look forward, and Denise alluded to it, right now, as of, last year was our first year over 1 million members nationwide. This year we're at 1,042,000 that we're serving in 9,407 communities across the nation. As we look at agriculture education and the impact that we're having, we give out about $2.7 million in scholarships for those students that want to go on to a 2-year or 4-year education experience. And then ultimately, as we look at the experiences that are out there, really wanting to encourage that growth across all students and engaging them in the experience of agriculture education and FFA. When we look at the space beyond that, and start thinking about it, I just want to kind of give you a short synopsis. For those of you who don't know about FFA and how it's rooted, we have a sister organization called 4-H, which you're going to hear from Jeff Goodwin tonight. So glad that he's here. And yes, we are collaborators, not competitors. But the difference between 4-H and FFA primarily is that we are school-based. And we take students in from as early as 5th grade all the way up to seniors in high school. And through the coursework in the classroom, equip them with the technical knowledge. So as you look at the top center, the yellow box that's up there, it's all about contextual learning. And students learn by doing. And so we take them in, give them the knowledge of how to make sure that the nutrients are there for the plants, ensuring that there's enough water, setting up that environment that the plants can succeed, along with the animals that also need nutrients, water, and an environment that sets them up for success. And we teach them to be good husbandry people that allow them to be able to grow those crops, vegetables, plants, animals, all across the board. And that starts in the classroom. Then we ask them, outside of the classroom, to have an experiential learning. So whether that's a work-based learning experience, where it could be a school-based enterprise, and this past, yesterday and today, spent out at Lihua, Mililani, Waipahu, James B. Castle, and then also at McKinley earlier today. Each of them have an outdoor facility that allows students to engage outside of the classroom and truly understand the practical application of what's going on in that industry and experience it. We also ask them to take that beyond the school setting and in their homes and communities to find a job or experience or build a business of their own. And we're going to share more about the businesses that are being built here in a little while. The last part of that then is the leadership and personal development. And as you saw the state officers up here in front of you just a moment ago, we really believe that FFA is about leadership, personal growth, and career success, and that's what differentiates our young people from all of those that surround them. We ask them to stand up in front of people and speak, and we ask them to practice that so they get very good at that. He wouldn't say it, but Nick, who's sitting back here, last year at our national convention in front of a crowd of about 70,000 individuals, ended up being the second in the nation in the creed speaking event. And so, yes, I celebrate that. That is a wonderful thing to look at and say. As a part of that, then, when we get all three of those together, that's when the true impact of agriculture education happens in the lives of students, and ultimately that's where we believe that next generation of leadership is ultimately going to come through and work their way into the path forward. Now, I do want to lay out the problem. In this time, we are absolutely in a war for talent. You know, collectively across the United States, FFA and 4-H, we're connecting young people to agriculture, and that ends up being about 7 million young people annually. In the age groups that we serve, there are 72 million young people in this nation. And so we're only touching and inviting into this space of agriculture about 10% of that population. And so first and foremost, Jill Bramble, the national president and CEO of 4-H, and I spent a lot of time together thinking through how do we engage and widen that pipeline? How do we make sure that more students and more communities are being invited in to say yes, to be a part of solving the big agricultural problems moving forward? When we look at the war for talent, we know that there's 2 jobs for every 1 qualified graduate that comes out of our education system. And so how do we ensure that we're increasing that number that are coming out to make sure that all of those businesses that rely on that trained talent are able to move forward and can succeed? We also know from the 2020 census or the 2010 census that 1 in 10 people moved out of rural areas. And so there's been a migration out of where production predominantly occurs. And so the forces are absolutely working against us. And at the same time, last year, anybody graduate from high school last year or have a child that graduated from high school last year? Anybody? Anybody? A few out there? Congratulations, that was the largest graduating class America has ever seen. Yeah, very cool. Sad news. From here it goes down. 10% over the next 10 years. So what that means is our pool of individuals stepping into that next ag career or to be the future of our ag workforce, we're going to have to work harder to entice those students, to intrigue them, and to get them into the business. And so that's where some insights that I would just love to share with you starts with, we need to invite and engage early. 2 years ago is when we decided to go from 7th grade down to 5th grade because we need to get an earlier interest and experience for students so that they can step in and have a longer runway in that selection of careers. Because only by alerting students to the wonderful careers that there are across the full spectrum of agriculture can they say yes to this industry. We saw in that time span, as you look at the numbers there, we went from about 80,000 to 180,000 over that 4-year period because of the interest and the opportunity that we've now opened the door for. So as you think about your ecosystem of talent development, how do we expand that and open doors and opportunities for young people to be able to engage earlier? What we know is that talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. So some of that is opening new programs. And this past year, we opened about 200 new programs across the nation and are excited about the fact and will continue to do that for younger students as we go. Ultimately, you start thinking about, and I mentioned Nick before, but Waipahu, both at the intermediate and the high school level, have done tremendous things in what's called our Agri-Science Fair, where we ask students to engage as early as 6th and 7th grade in solving a problem and asking the questions, having to go through the scientific method to then solve a problem in agriculture or natural resources. And as those students work through that process, they've been competitive. And if you ever go to the Waipahu intermediate or high school programs, you're going to see banners on the wall of those students being successful as a way of engaging them earlier in the thought and the work that has to happen for our industry to succeed. Ultimately, we also, giving an example from another state, one that we're excited about in North Carolina, they actually run a wonderful middle school discovery camp that brings all of the students to a facility that has great experts in their fields, that gives them an age-appropriate experience that invites them again into this industry as a future agriculture worker. The second thing that I would say is, as we start thinking about the space of not just inviting in early, once we have those students engaged, ultimately then we need to give them real, authentic experiences. Question for you. Feel free to raise your hand, or if you're embarrassed, don't worry about not raising your hand. Just, you'll know that, you're one of the people that I'm talking to. How many of you had a job while you were in high school? The vast majority had a job while they're in high school. What we're finding, though, and if you look at the U.S. labor information today, only 1 in 3 high school students across the nation have any kind of work experience before they graduate from high school. That keeps me up at night. Because when I think about it, we're raising up a generation that's never been acclimated to what it means to work, that hasn't been out in the workforce to have experiences to be able to say yes or no to what they like or what they don't like. They've never been asked to put their phone down because, no, you have a job to do in this moment. They've never been asked to show up on time and have consequences if they don't. I will tell you what we know in ag education and FFA, and the jackets on the bottom of the screen highlight this. We know that 68% of our students do have some form of out-of-school work experience, either their own project of doing research for the Agri-Science Fair, owning their own business where they're mowing lawns or raising livestock or growing produce to sell at a farmer's market. We believe that makes a critical difference. And so the more we can lean into that, of having students have internships, and you're going to hear from Brittany here in a little bit on the panel of the wonderful work that's happening on Maui and Kauai, of engaging students in internships and opening up that door again to connect them early to the industry so that they can say yes to it. Now, granted, there were jobs that I had growing up that I will never want to do again. One of them was detasseling seed corn in southern Michigan, right across the line from where I grew up, where you spend all of your day like this and you're just pulling tassels out to make sure that the seed corn go. Baling hay is something that, yes, you have to do, but it's not a pleasant thing when you get the alfalfa poking you in the arm and leaving you just sweaty up in the high mouse. But it's those experiences that form the developmental aspects of how we make our career choices ultimately. When we think about this work moving forward, it all ends with this. And our motto, which any of the FFA members I'm sure would be able to do, any of the ag teachers would be able to share with you, but our motto in FFA is learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, living to serve. Essence is this: you can only learn by doing. You can only learn by doing. And what we find is that it makes a significant impact. So Denise asked me to share, when we were first having these conversations way back with her and Sarah, about the impact that happens out of that. And what we know of our recent graduates, we did a survey of them, and 84% of them end up going into some form of an agricultural pathway or career after they leave and exit our program. 60% of them are actually moving up in their way through to management positions because of the experiences and the leadership that they've been given. So we know that it has an impact. The key is, how do we expand that to a larger number of students to ensure that we can have that impact on a wider basis. The last piece then that I would just share with you is that incentives are critical, because we can train up young people to be interested in the industry, but if it is not economically viable, then they're not going to find a home in that space that's going to be able to sustain their families, their space, and give them that future that they're ultimately looking for. And so 5 years ago, we decided to invest in incentives in the form of SAE grants. So any young person that comes up with their work experience or their business that they want to start, they submit a grant application, and we'll provide them $1,000 to start their business. To get, in the case of some cases, maybe it's getting the protective equipment, PPE, that they need to be able to work safely in that environment. It might be upgrading their lawnmower that they're doing a lawn mowing service for. It might be upgrading the livestock that they have to get a better breeding animal in to expand their herd to grow that operation in a way that they want to expand it to. Whatever it is, as long as they have a good budget and a good plan for it, we end up giving about $350,000 away a year to students all over the nation to ensure that they can get a start in something outside of the classroom that grows those wonderful, rich skills that will set them up for success. As a part of that process, we know, and then a young lady, because I do, in my role, I know it's a guilty pleasure sometimes, but along with the rest of the staff, I put my name in the hat to review the applications. And one young lady decided that she wanted to raise higher quality goats. Well, those of you that don't know, goats in vitro fertilization actually requires a little minor surgery. And so she wanted to be able to have the $1,000 to get the equipment, and she was going to apprentice with a veterinarian who did the surgery to do the implanting of the semen, to get the fertilization needed to get the insemination of the goats, so that she could ultimately set up her own business and do that for the young people around her and those that were, and change the genetics of that whole community. That's what we can invest in. That's the way we can change the future of agriculture, because now she has a business that's economically viable because she can charge for the service to the other students and ultimately set her up for success as she moves into vet tech and ultimately into be the veterinarian that she wants to be. And that's the second place we want to invest. FFA Ventures, we launched this year. We made our first investment, but it is $1 million venture capital fund that's targeted only to FFA members, former FFA members, and ag teachers. And what it says is, if a student comes up with a great business plan and a viable business, we are committed to investing in you to make sure that that business succeeds. We also have, across all of our corporate partners, mentors, people from every aspect of the agriculture industry that can come alongside them and provide guidance and mentorship and support, because we want those businesses to succeed in communities across this nation. We want those FFA members to succeed. This is, again, a way of ensuring that it's economically viable so that they can get to where they want to be. And think about if in each of the communities that each of you represent, one new business started every 5 years. Think about the incredible impact that would have, not just on the families there, the individual, but the families, the community, the wider economy of Hawaii, and getting ultimately to the point of self-sustainability on fruits and vegetables, and really not being as reliant on the shipping industry, but really having here the quality products that you need, locally raised, that can provide that quality of life that ultimately we're looking for. And so as a part of that, I would just say, the world continues to, without question, change. And yes, I threw away the sheet that I needed. But we'll find it. I am sure that we will. There we go. Thank you very much. The key is, I would just recommend, and you're going to hear a lot more about the regional kitchens, but I do think there's also an opportunity. I would look at them as almost cooperatives, of taking young people, gathering them together, finding plots of land that they could go out and learn and practice on what they heard in the classroom, and get that put into their own business model to then be selling to the regional kitchen. I think that's possible, but it will require those wonderful incentives. So again, there's a war for talent, but I believe we can win the war. I believe that we can increase the pipeline of talent by innovating and inviting and engaging early. I believe that we can create meaningful connections through experiential learning. And I believe that we can build the right incentives to launch incredible careers for businesses, for the young people here in Hawaii in the space to create that future talent for the industry of agriculture. The FFA creed, and I just said a lot of I believes, and some of the FFA members and ag teachers probably understand that the creed is one thing that every FFA member learns early, and it starts every of the 5 paragraphs with the words, I believe. It starts with, I believe in the future of agriculture. But I want to go to the 5th paragraph, and it says, I believe, and I'm going to switch this, and as the CEO of the organization, I reserve the right to change things once in a while that are old traditions. So nobody give me any flack on this one, please. But I believe that Hawaiian agriculture can and will hold true to the best traditions of island life, and that I can exert an influence which will stand solid for my part in that inspiring task. And that's my charge to each of you, is I hope that you'll come along on this journey with us, with the Agriculture Foundation, with all of the partners that are here, to ultimately exert an influence that can build the future of the ag workforce for the islands. It's been a pleasure to be with you, and I look forward to being on the panel. Thank you.